Starting over. Have a drink before we start over. Cheers.
Cheers, my man.
Did you know Australia is wider than the moon?
Wider?
Wider. Like Australia is
Like more
geographically
Caucasian than the moon? Moon's pretty white.
I said wider. But okay, we'll go with it.
I don't know a lot of black people in the Aborigines, right?
I guess. I'm not.
Am I wrong? Am I right or am I right?
Anyway, moving on.
It's not
wider than the moon, not whiter.
You said it again.
Wider. With a D.
With a D.
Give you the D. Not the T, the D.
Oh, goodness.
Starting over. What is that on the table right there
fun.
in front of you?
That is
what is this right here?
It's a Buffalo Bills glass.
What's in it?
Because you know I'm a big Bills fan.
You're
Bills Mafia.
Bills
schedule
Mafia.
comes out tonight.
It's supposed to be already out or comes out at 8 or
it comes
something?
out 10. The 14th. Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You handle that.
What do
Handle
you
that.
do?
I don't know. Handle that. Shot.
Cheers.
It's just like sitting there staring at you. So starting over. Starting over, what I mean by that is later in life, say 45 to 55 years old, and your marriage of the last 15 to 20 years, 3 kids, 2 kids, whatever it is, established in your life, you've grown apart from your wife for whatever reason. Now it's divorce time and you're moving on. What does starting over look like at age 48?
Well, I'm only 45, bro, so I can't tell you. You're on your own on this episode.
We're going to talk about what it's like to be able to reach the top of the fridge next, okay?
We're going to talk about what it's like to have your friend sitting next to you. Is he really your friend, or is he just leave you hanging high and dry? Because I left you hanging high and dry on that one.
So what does that look like? You know, there's this idea so if this has to happen.
Well, think about our demographic. Think about our listeners, right?
Okay.
We do have people in their 50s and even in their 60s and maybe even beyond listening.
And I think we have younger folks listening as well.
We do, who may be in those divorce years.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, more and more now, I'm starting to see the divorces happening at late 30s, early 40s,
Man, I'm telling you. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's when mine happened.
Yeah.
You know?
And how do you, like right now, if we had to start redating, what does that even look like?
Oof,
with our full-time careers, our full-time kids in their sports, because they're at that age.
Mm-hmm.
And how little time we have. Man.
I don't know that I'd have time for it.
It's almost like, so I do know of somebody who is in his 40s, early 40s, that is in this exact situation right now. And I think he has been living on his own, doing the co-parenting thing. I don't know exactly how long, 6 months, 8 months, a year, maybe. And he has not moved on, has not tried to move on. And
when you say not move on, is he still hung up?
No, he is in a point in his life where he's just kind of over it at the moment.
Part of my favorite saying, one of my favorite sayings. He's just at a point in his life. He's just over it.
He's kind of over it right now.
I think I would be too.
Doesn't have interest yet. I say yet in moving on. So I'm trying in my head to be like, man, because now you have your kids part of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like,
what do you do with the other part of the time?
Right. I think for men, they were in a long time. I'm talking 20 years together. Man. Kids young, married young.
Number
20
one,
years.
I hate to hear that.
I do too.
Because
he's a great
marriage
dude.
is in my mind, it's a one and done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't play out that way. Fortunately, sometimes it plays out that way.
Right.
Because you realize you're way better off with number 2.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You know, like my situation.
Well, and for us, I was 31, 32 when I met my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So still young, right? But in that, 30s is still, I don't think is necessarily as hard as it is if you're 48, 49, 45.
Okay, so let's stop talking so generalized.
Okay.
I'm going to put you in a scenario.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me how you're going to handle this, right?
Yep.
So, all right. we all know your wife is amazing and
Mhm.
you guys have a great relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. We're setting it aside. This is
Yeah.
all hypothetical.
Gotcha.
You're single now.
Right.
You guys just broke up.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
You don't have the kids
Right.
because she has them. So
Right.
you've got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep. To myself.
What are you doing Friday night to start?
Man, this is tough. So I think
You on the app?
just
You hopping on the app?
well, how far removed am I from the marriage?
3 months.
Is it divorce final?
Yeah, divorce
Like
is
been
final.
through court?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm 3
So
months.
more than 3 months if it's final. I mean, it takes time, but
So 3 to 6 months removed from divorce.
Yep.
Current age, everything current right now.
Yep.
I don't think I'm on the apps. I don't think I'm trying yet. Now, is the urge to go out and hang out with friends there? Yes.
Mhm.
Here's where I don't do it because all of my friends are married.
So it's gonna be a little tough because you're the single guy with all the
Well,
married people.
all the things, right? Third wheel,
Uh-huh.
seeing the all of our friends that are all happily married and getting along with their wives, and I'm just kind of there. The memories start flooding back.
But you've still got to fulfill your urge to have fun and your
Yes.
and
Yeah.
your break away
So what
from your work and your
So what I think I'm probably
responsibilities.
trying to do is trying to get like you to do something with me without your wife.
Dude, that is money right there.
Because not because
That's gold.
not because I all of a sudden hate her or hate women, because I don't. But I don't want to be in that moment with you and her this soon removed.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the happiness of the marriage and you two getting along. I'm not trying to do that.
And that's
'Cause then
100%
'cause then the
understandable.
memories come back, right? Then the memories come back, the feelings come back. Then I'm like,
Then you have too much to drink, and then you drunk dial, and then
who
now
knows?
you're in a
Yeah.
situation.
So I think initially I'm like,
And that's, I mean, that's a real
it's a
that's
real
a real
thing.
scenario.
It's a real
Right?
thing. And I think
I
I'm
laugh,
initially,
but it's a real scenario.
yeah. Initially I'm like, hey Naeem, let's go get some lunch or let's go out to the bar, just
Yeah.
us.
You wanna go bowling or something?
Right.
Or
So
and I
now-
had a buddy who did that for me when I started going through my
Right.
divorce. He knew both of us, and he would always just get me to go do
You're
stuff
right.
with him.
Right.
You know, whether it was golf or
Right.
bowling and we went duck pin bowling, and he'll never let me live this
Right.
down. He beat me at duck pin bowling.
Right. And
So
I think the other side is that, are you doing that? Like, are you honoring that and telling your wife, like, sorry, babe, I got to do tonight?
Oh, you're talking about from their perspective.
From
if
your
they're
perspective. So now you're still married. You're married.
Right.
I come to you, I'm like, Naeem, really feel like going, let's get some dinner, maybe a couple drinks, but I prefer you didn't bring your wife if that's okay.
Uh,
How
Yeah.
does that conversation look on your end?
it really is a conversation where I would say, "Hey, Lish, listen, Matt's going through something right now.
Yeah.
And I really need to be there for him. He just needs some guy time. He
Right.
just probably I don't even know if he's gonna wanna talk about anything, but he
Right.
just needs to blow some steam off.
Right.
You know, do you mind if I just take a few hours and just go on out?" And I'm sure her answer would be like, "Absolutely.
100% with your
Not a
wife.
problem."
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
And I hope most wives would be that
I
way.
think so. So I think that's where I'm at. I don't think I'm dating.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm even trying to yet.
Yeah.
At 3 to 6 months, I don't think anything is happening in that department.
Mhm.
Especially for us, we are going on 17 years this year.
Mm.
So I'm not burying 17 years in 6 months,
Yeah.
right? So I think
Maybe you're thinking there's a chance you guys get back together.
well,
huh?
maybe.
Is
So
is that
so I
too?
think depending on the circumstances of the breakup, if it's just we're kind of growing apart, then yeah, that message is probably happening.
Mhm.
You know, that conversation's probably happening. If I messed up and I did something wrong, I cheated or something like that, it's on me. She cheated or something like that, then it's probably not having that conversation.
Yeah.
But if it's just a situation, because you can grow apart later in life, it's 3 to 6 months. It's not happening,
Yeah.
and it's probably miserable,
Oh, God. You're
especially the days when you don't have your kids and you come home from work and you're alone.
you're painting such a dismal picture.
Let's move on.
No,
Meg?
no. I don't wanna move on. No, I wanna stay right here. But the only reason I wanna stay here is because I feel like a lot of guys that are listening could
Yeah,
be going through it right now,
there definitely are.
or they could be on the verge of going through it,
Yeah.
or they don't wanna go through it.
Right.
So they may need maybe they want to hear our perspective on how to prevent this from happening, or maybe they want to hear what I would do at 3 or 6 months.
Oh, Jesus. You're gonna,
No, nobody wants to hear what I would do at 3 or 6 months.
you'd be the same.
What would I do at 2 weeks?
Alicia might listen to this.
Listen, that woman and I are glued together at
You
the hip
are,
for the rest of our
yeah.
damn lives. We've already said it. I
I'm
don't
not
care
going
how
anywhere
rough that
either.
shit gets.
Yeah. My
It's
wife
just
and I are going to be the 80-year-old couple hitting each other with our canes.
right,
That's
because
just what it's going to be.
they're mad at the way you breathe.
Right.
Like,
It's just the way it's going to
you're
be.
breathing heavy. Bow,
Yeah.
right in your chest.
Right. But
But hey, I want to ask you this question
Okay.
though, and I
Yep.
don't mean to cut you off,
no, you're fine.
but I think this would be good. I just lost the question I wanted to ask you. It
Did
was
you?
that stupid shot I did.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That shot? Short-term memory.
Maybe I have dementia. Early onset?
Alzheimer's?
Good.
Is it gone? Like your thought is gone.
Totally gone.
We're moving on now?
It'll come
Until it
back in a
comes
minute.
back? We're moving on until it comes
Yeah,
back?
and then we're gonna revisit it.
Okay. So speaking of marriages and kind of growing apart,
I apologize.
let's talk a little
Are
bit.
we growing apart?
No.
Is that where you're
No,
going?
I was going to say,
Oh.
let's talk about a little bit how your dating habits or your personal habits change from when you first meet your wife to 17 years later. Are you the same person today that you were when you met her and you were trying to woo her? You were trying to, I'd say woo her.
You pitch
Oh
and
my
woo?
God.
Pitch and woo.
Oh my God. Trying to win her over. You're being all these things. Are you being somebody you're not that you change later? Or are you coming out of the gate like, this is who I am, take it or leave it?
No. I mean, if you're a person who's in tune with who you are, then you know you're gonna change every few years.
Yeah.
You know?
People change anyway, but I think there is a large percentage, and I think this is why a lot of divorces end early, because a lot of dudes are somebody they're not, or they're so far extreme somebody they're not, that once they get comfortable, they revert back to who they really are, and the woman's like, who the hell did I marry?
So you know who we call that?
What,
The representative.
representative?
The representative.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you first meet someone, you put on the best freaking show you can, right?
Right.
That's your representative.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, you may tolerate shit that you're not going to tolerate a year from now. You may
Right.
say shit you're not going to say a year from now. You may open doors that you don't open a year from now.
Yeah.
That's your representative showing up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's that old saying, what you did to get her is what you got to do to keep her.
Right.
So if you put that representative out there,
Can't set the bar too high.
yeah, it's like fishing with calamari or squid.
You
Then
can't.
you can't switch to earthworms after that because
Yeah.
the fish are used to what you've been giving them.
I think
You
that,
know what I mean?
I mean, it contributes to marriages ending early, I think, more often. I personally think that is one of the biggest reasons marriages end early. Now, I have no statistical data to back this up, but if you think about a guy,
Let me look some stuff.
as
You talk while I
a
look
guy
up.
is going above and beyond what he is as a person to try to impress this lady, right?
Mhm.
Do whatever, the flowers, opening doors, opening car door, whatever you're doing. And then fast forward 2 years in, maybe you're married now. You got comfortable,
Now he's a
and-
dick.
and you're
And he's coming home.
you kind of
Where's my
revert,
dinner, woman?
right?
Where's
You kind of revert to who you are.
there's no vacuum lines in
Right.
the carpet. What's the matter with you?
So why does that happen? Because it's hard to keep up that facade.
It's because you put that representative out there because
Right.
you can I be honest for a
yeah,
second?
yeah, I know what. Yeah,
You know where I'm
yeah,
going?
I know.
It's
Yes.
because you wanted that ass.
Yep,
You
yep.
said and did whatever it
Yeah.
took
to get there.
to get in those sheets.
Yep,
Then you did, and now
you get comfortable.
Yep.
Take
now
it
you're
for
comfortable.
granted. You start taking her for granted.
Yep.
So you revert to who you really are.
Yep.
Who you got? You got something?
I'm just see most marriages that end early within the first 5 to 7 years tend to do so because a combination of unmet expectations, poor communication, and emotional immaturity.
Unmet
Mm.
expectations. You set that bar too high.
Yeah.
Can't
Some-
maintain it.
Some common reasons include unrealistic expectations,
Okay.
poor communication skills,
Yeah.
which is where we were talking about with the
Yep.
whole therapy thing.
Yep.
Lack of emotional readiness.
That's a big one. So, lack of emotional readiness. What does that even mean?
Well, it says trust is fragile early on. If one person strays physically or emotionally, it can be hard. Oh, that's infidelity. Hold on. It's oh gosh, lack of emotional readiness. Some people marry before they've really figured out who they are, what they want, or how to handle emotional intimacy.
So, that's the same thing, kind of. You're acting like somebody you're not to get in them sheets.
And you don't even know who the hell you are.
Right.
You haven't figured yourself out.
So, imagine doing that at 48 years old after a 17-year marriage.
Yeah.
No
'Cause
chance.
maybe you've tried to be this person, this version of yourself for that person you've
Right.
been married to for
Right.
15, 17 years, and now they're gone. Now you have the opportunity to be who you are,
Right. And
right? But do
then
you even know who the F that is?
right, and I'll add one more thing to this before we maybe want to move on. I don't know, going pretty well, but I'll add one more thing to
This is
this.
juicy stuff, man. I think I
How
like it.
many marriages? I'd love to know the stats, which I don't know. But how many marriages fall apart as soon as you become empty nesters?
Oh, man, that
Kids
is
out of the
big.
house. Were the kids holding you together?
I'm gonna research
Were
that
you
real
like, we're going to stay together for the kids to show them to have a positive memory growing up? And
Mhm,
now the kids are gone. And 3 months, 6 months down the road, you look at that person sitting next to you on the couch, you're like, "Who are you?"
mhm. Okay, I'm almost
It's
there.
almost there
Empty
because
nester.
you spend 18 years of your life doing a lot of stuff for your kids, and a lot of times people will put their kids before marriage, but there's that thing where, you're not really supposed to do that. You got it?
Right. It's searching. It's searching.
But
Okay.
a lot of psychologists or marriage counselors will say, "Don't put your kids before your marriage because when the kids are gone, it's just you 2."
Yep.
So the couples that put all their energy into making sure their kids are good and sacrificing all this for them and taking them here and there and don't do anything together, that bill comes due.
So before I go into the stats,
Yeah,
what you just said,
yeah,
sacrificing the time together because you're focused on the kids, right?
right, right.
So let's flip that on its head and call that you're neglecting one another
Yeah, that's what
for
it
the
is.
sake of other
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
You're neglect. So if I were to come to you and say that when I, let's say I'm the pastor
Okay,
and I'm marrying you too,
right,
I want you two to neglect each other for the next 22 years
right.
and then figure it out once the
Mm,
kids move out of your house. That's exactly what you're doing when you put the kids
'cause you're
first.
not figuring it out before the kids, right? So how long are people married or not married for that matter before they have kids? So for
Right.
Jamie and I, it was 3 years. Inside of 3 years, she had our son.
Mhm.
So we had 3 years to figure it out before now it's time to care for this other human that can't care for himself at all.
Right.
And then 2 more times with our girls,
Totally changes the game.
right? And it did,
Yep.
overnight. Literally overnight from the last night she was just pregnant to the next morning when now we have another human that can
Right.
do nothing for himself.
Do you remember the day you brought him
Oh,
home and
yeah, I
crossed
remember
him
the
over the
yeah,
threshold and you're
I
like,
remember the
"Well,
day all 3 of them came home.
now it's
No, it gets real quick
it's game time now."
because you're not at the hospital anymore to have all these people helping you,
Yep.
making sure you're able to get some sleep at night. You realize real quick with the
It's a
first one.
complete dynamic
Yeah.
changer. Totally
So
dynamic changer.
that neglecting of each other probably starts to happen in that moment.
Mhm.
You got something there, don't you?
I want you to guess this.
Okay.
What percentage are people more likely to divorce after their children leave home? What percent do you think?
Divorce after their children leave home,
Yep.
percentage of all divorces because of
Mhm.
that reason specifically,
Yep.
42.
Oh, look at you. It's 40.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
40%.
Yeah.
That's insane.
For the sole reason, not that can't be the only reason,
Well,
right?
no,
But
here's the reasons.
okay.
You have loss of shared purpose,
Yeah, because
So
your purpose has been your kids.
has been to raise the kids, right? You have emotional distance over the years. Some couples may drift apart emotionally, and the absence of children can highlight this distance
Right.
because you haven't been communicating. You've been neglecting one another.
There's no buffer anymore.
Revisiting the neglect.
There's no buffer.
No buffer, right?
Mm.
Financial strains. Ooh.
Yeah, I wouldn't know
When they
about that.
leave,
It's
approaching
easier.
retirement and different sort of financial goals can lead to conflicts. No, I don't
think that's it. I don't agree with that
The
one.
money frees up. I'm
Money
waiting for
frees
that
up,
day.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Kids cost a lot of money.
Desire for personal fulfillment with children gone, individuals may seek new experience or personal growth, leading to reevaluations of the marriage. Here's the
Ooh.
thing.
Ding, 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 right there. That last
Nailed it.
one.
Dude, you got to grow together.
Yeah.
You can't grow apart. But that boils down, and my uncle, I don't want to say his name only because
Well, now he knows.
he's
Right.
anyway, he always told me that the major breakdown in any relationship, whether it be personal or professional,
Yeah.
can almost always be traced back to lack of communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's communication.
We've talked about that before too, about
Mhm.
communication. That is really interesting. I never thought about the way of you kind of reevaluate your own personal life and what are my goals now.
Yeah. But do
And
you know what's crazy? And I don't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
But I think that people also reevaluate their lives when they have kids, which could lead to a divorce.
Maybe, and I'll even take it a step further and say, I think the age you have the kids matters.
Mhm.
So I went to high school with guys that are my age, so 49, 50, that have 30-year-old children because they're 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Lucky bastards.
Well,
they're
that's
chilling right
that's
now.
the thing, right?
But they had no 20s.
They had no
The
20s.
20s were
So
out.
if your kids are out of your house at, let's say, age 40, you had
Mhm.
them real young in life. They're 20 years old off in college at age 40, and you've been with your wife, mother of them, the whole time. You had no 20s. Like, party time, right?
Swinger.
Well,
That's where the swingers come from. I'm calling it out right here.
Okay.
I think I just discovered where swingers come from.
yeah, because you never had those experiences.
Right.
So, other side of that, my last daughter, mathematically, the earliest she'll be out of the house, and this is if she's, high school straight to college, I will be 66, 65, 66
Man.
before
Okay.
she could leave.
Okay.
So at 65, 66, am I going to reevaluate a whole lot of shit? Not really.
No.
You're who you are now. So your marriage is either at that point, your marriage is either already done or it's done and you're just going to stay together anyway because you're 65 fucking years old and you're not going to move on.
Right.
And now you just stay with them and you're miserable. Maybe I don't know how much reevaluating I'm going to be doing.
I can't. I don't know. I mean,
Right. And
So
it's
what was
not
it-
great to think about, is it?
No, it's not. But it's something that you have to have at the forefront of your
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
because it can creep up on you,
For sure.
and you've got to make sure it's not there. And oh, by the way, I just remembered what I forgot earlier.
Okay. Let's get after it.
And it comes right in
Okay.
perfectly with what we're talking
All
about here.
right.
So a lot of people say, "Oh, divorce isn't an option for us," and people may think that I am coming from that direction of, "Well, divorce isn't an option for me and Alicia. We
Right.
said we're going to be attached
Right.
at the hip for the rest of our lives."
Right.
When you have that safety net of divorce isn't an option,
Yeah.
or you have that, well, we're never going to drift apart, and this isn't
Yeah.
going to be this, and this isn't, and you just know that, but you emotionally don't feel that, and
Mm,
you're not working
mm,
towards that.
mm.
That is a safety net. That is a falsehood, my friend.
Got a hole in it.
It's got a big ass hole in it. And if you believe in that, you're going to hit the ground.
That's a
when you
parachute
fall off
not
that thing.
opening.
That is a parachute not opening. Dude, that was a good one.
That's a parachute
I
not opening.
like that.
It's right though. You have to buy
Divorce-
in.
Yeah,
You have
divorce
to buy in.
is an option.
For
it's
everybody. Always.
Definitely an option.
Always.
And you need to know that it's an option because at any point in time, your partner can say, I'm not being
Right.
fulfilled. But as long listen, you gotta put the work in.
Mhm.
You know, if things aren't going right, you gotta
Right.
see the right therapist, and you gotta, make sure you
Well,
guys are trying to build it
I
back
will
up.
tell you 17 years in, man, it's not always
That's fine. We're gonna ignore it. Fucking phone.
phone's going off
Just
again.
keep going. Keep
It's
going.
not always been easy. It's work.
Well,
It's
yeah.
sacrifice, it's understanding,
They say it's the
right?
second hardest thing you'll ever do, right?
What's the first?
Raising kids.
Oh god, you're doing them both at the same time.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
right. So we're some resilient MFers over here.
Yeah. So it's not great to think about, but it's a reality that you're gonna have to face. That
Yeah.
bill's gonna come due. How did you spend the last 18 to 20 years raising your kids?
Mhm.
Yes, you're preparing them for adulthood. You're making sure you're trying to help them make the right decisions and just be good human beings.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you just want them to be good human beings.
Absolutely.
So during the molding of that, do you forget about the lady sitting across the table from you?
You can't.
I would think you can. I think you absolutely can.
You can.
You can't to keep them, but you absolutely can. And I think you 42%. That's a big number.
That is a huge number.
That's a
I mean,
big
it's
number.
almost half.
Almost. I initially was thinking half. I'm like, no, half's too much.
But then remember, we've even talked about this on a previous podcast where we were talking about how married couples into their 50s, 60s, 70s, how many of them are even happy? Are they just together because they have to be together? Or are they happy because they want to be together?
So
You know,
I have seen couples in their 70s that are genuinely happy to be together.
sure.
Been married forever. Longer. Been married so many years, it's not even a real number.
You ever seen that one old couple at the bar that they shouldn't be at? And then there's music playing, but no one's dancing, but
Right.
they get up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they
I've seen
dance
it.
with each
Yeah,
other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just look at them in awe and I
Yeah.
say, I hope that's us one day.
Yeah.
Not me and
do.
you,
Oh,
but
wow.
like
Yeah, I didn't
like
think I didn't
you and your wife.
I
and
didn't
then
think
me
that
and
either.
my wife.
I
But
wasn't thinking that
just in
either.
case you were going down that road.
No, I wasn't
But
thinking that either.
based on the way you and I interact when we go
That's
out,
gonna be us.
it
It's
might be
fine.
us.
Right. It'll be fine. But it's all the things, right? So then like to answer kind of go back to earlier talking about if I was divorced now, I've been kind of thinking about it during this episode. And I truly believe I would be as least interested in redating as you could be 3 to 6 months in. And I don't know the time frame
Mhm.
because there's a lot of balls in play there. You got kids involved now,
Yeah.
and I just don't think I'm doing it for a
I mean, but
while.
can we touch on okay, but
But yeah, we go back.
the one thing we haven't touched on
Okay.
when it comes to that 3 to 6 months out,
Yeah.
men have urges,
Yeah. Absolutely.
women have urges,
Absolutely.
and those urges need to be satisfied. So
So-
how are we handling that?
So I think from a men's point of view, probably as a guy 48, 49, when you get to that point where you have that urge, say it's 8 months later, it's probably just a one-time thing.
Probably.
I don't think you're looking for a relationship because you just got out of a 17 years of giving your heart and soul to something that didn't work. You're not jumping right back in.
This is hypothetical. I just want to go on record
Absolutely
and say that again.
hypothetical,
This
and I
is
think
all
I
hypothetical.
think we've talked about this enough. I think we dug our hole deep
Have
enough.
we? No, I
so.
think you nailed that question though. I think you nailed it just right.
Yeah.
It would just be to pretty much check that box.
Yep. That's it. Got that out of the way.
All right.
Go to Kroger's.
Go to Kroger's last minute.
Thanks for
Put all that
listening.
in.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Midlife Playbook. Brought to you, as always, from Matt and Naeem. See you guys.
See ya.